Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Service and Spare Parts Management, Reimagine, Optimize, and Transform by Accrete Solutions and Sana Commerce. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items. If you have any question during the presentation, please type them into the question box in your GoToWebinar control panel. We will bring them up during the presentation, and we will also have time for question at the end. This webinar is being recorded and will be sent to you following the presentation for your own purpose or to share with others. Now, I would like to introduce today's presenters that we have. So first, we have Ashish from Accrete. He is Vice President Global Solution Delivery. I will request Ashish to share a brief about his role and responsibilities in Accrete. Ashish.
Hi, welcome everyone, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. As Ajay said, I'm the Vice President at Accrete Solutions. I'm responsible for global project deliveries. I've been doing projects in SAP and Salesforce and e-commerce for the last 25 plus years. And I've done projects on service to cash, enterprise asset management, customer service, parts management, part logistics, etc. And prior to Accrete, I was working with one of the big fives, KPMG and then Bearing Point. Even before that, before I started doing SAP and Salesforce and work, I was on the business side where I managed repair centers, logistics, parts, shipping, parts receiving, basically a warehouse, as well as field service and customer service as well. So that's in a brief nutshell about me. Thanks.
Thank you, Ashish. Now we have Mike from Sana Commerce. He is Senior Manager, Enterprise Channel Sales. I would request Mike to please share your role and responsibilities in Sana Commerce. Mike?
Yeah, thanks, AJ. My name is Mike Brenneman, and as AJ mentioned, Enterprise Channel Sales Manager for the West region here at Sana. And I got into the technology space back in 2006. I've been very closely involved with enterprise sales of ERP systems, both in the Microsoft and in the SAP space, and have also co-founded a number of SaaS startups, as well as having been on the ISV side of the ERP channel, working for various software applications that integrate and complement functionality for both Microsoft and SAP solutions, and very much looking forward to the presentation today.
Thanks, Mike. So we will start this webinar with short poll. So we have 3 questions, and I would request everyone to please respond. We will share the responses of this particular poll with a recording and presentation that we will share after the webinar. So here we have our first question for today. It's related to the service solution you guys might deploy at your end right now. And here we go with the second question. It's again related to e-commerce solution deployment. And here we have last question. Thank you, everyone. And now we will start the presentation, and I will hand over to Ashish to start today's presentation. Ashish.
Okay, thanks, Ajay. So, we did a webinar late last year on field service challenges and enterprise asset management challenges. This webinar, we're going to focus primarily on spare parts challenges and self-service and how Sana Commerce solution, along with integration with SAP or Microsoft, can help the customers for this. So, you can imagine a scenario where a technician is at a customer site and needs to find a part. And the machine is broken, and he has opened up the machine, and he's trying to find the part number which has to be ordered, which are needed. So he may have a part number with him, but the part with him, but how does he find the part number and the details, or even to look into the machines and get the more information about a part? So, you can have a schematic, you can have a paper schematic, which is what the norm was earlier, but they tend to get torn, or, or it's very difficult to find it in a paper schematic. And even for electronic schematics as well, it is difficult to see on a laptop also. So what's the best way to find the part? So, if there was a solution for getting the part, that is what Sana Commerce has one. They have a solution called Lookbook, and Mike is going to show a demo of that. It's pretty easy to use and intuitive, and it can be very useful for technicians, or even in the case of B2C scenario as well. So let's say the technician was able to find the part somehow, and it has to be shipped to the customer site, or the product or the part is either is the customer responsible for the part, or the manufacturer can be responsible for the part. So what's the easiest way by which, from their mobile device, which is typically a tablet, laptops are big and phones are too small for a technician, so they normally carry tablets. So what's the best way they can easily order a part which can be shipped to the project site or even into the trunk stock? That's something which a technician would love to do. And then there are, multiple revisions of the part. So there are multiple chain. Part A replaces part B, replaces part C. That is pretty common thing. So how does a technician know, which part or which replacement part? What is the replacement part number, first of all, and then what is available in stock, and what is available in the trunk stock, what is available in the nearest warehouse, or what is available in the main depot. So that's another challenge which maybe technician encounters. And then the other thing is, finally I was able to place the order for the part. Now the part has been shipped. So when does it arrive, or what's the estimated date to arrive, and when does it actually arrive, etc., etc. That information should be available to the technician and even to the scheduler, because the next call or visit to the customer site will depend on when the part arrives at the customer site. So tracking of the part and the arrival of the part is another key item. And let's say the part has arrived and the customer and the technician replaces it, and then now he's got a defective part. So there must be an easy way to send the defective part back to the warehouse so that it can be repaired and put back into inventory. The more delay you have in defective being repaired, defective being issued, there is a higher inventory turn, which essentially, or lower inventory turn, which essentially means that you have high inventory and high dollar cost of the inventory sitting in the warehouses or across the entire supply chain. Then another scenario is the technician typically carries trunk stock or van stock, and that needs to be replenished. So if he or she uses the part from the trunk stock, what is the process by which replenishment orders can be generated and that stock is replenished from the warehouse. I mean, you'll have to define some rules, business rules for that, like, what's a minimum level, what's a maximum level, what's a reordering point, etc. So, I mean, the idea here is that replenishment orders should be automatically generated, and the trunk stock should get automatically filled up. I mean, trunk stock typically has consumable parts or critical parts, and they're required pretty often by the technician. So availability of those trunk stock is critical for the technician to perform their work with less repeat calls. And that's more from a technician standpoint, more from a B2B standpoint, and let's say from a B2C standpoint, in a do-it-yourself scenario or a DIY scenario as well. So I'll give you an example which I encountered about 6 months back with me. So I have a Roomba, and I've had it from 2010 or 12, and its roller broke down. Now, since the roller broke down, I said, okay, I'm semi-tech savvy. So I said, okay, let me try to repair it myself. And I went on Roomba website, looked for the part, nothing was available. I checked the Roomba parts manual as well. I couldn't find that part number there as well. And again, nothing wrong with Roomba. I love Roomba, and I would probably buy it again, but just my experience with them. Now, I searched Google, could not find it as well. Then I called Roomba's customer service, who tried to help me and definitely found a part number which they shipped. Well, it came. I tried to fit it. Well, it didn't fit in, and it was larger. So I called again and returned the part, and then asked them to send another part. So they did some research and said this is the correct part and this will work. And well, it came. I tried to fit it again. It was smaller now. So probably because it was an older Roomba and there were so many revisions of the Roomba as well as so many revisions of the parts which they've used, they were not able to find the right part number. Now, I was really frustrated by then, and then I again called them. They transferred me to technical support and wherever, and finally customer service sent in the part which worked. Now, if there was a simple way by which I could have ordered the part myself online on Roomba's website, it would have saved Roomba plenty of lot of costs and time, as well as a happy customer as well. And similarly, my time would have also been saved for this. So that was an example of my experience. If for easy ordering, if it is possible, was for searching a part quickly and sending it. Similarly, you can have a you have to install, let's say, a table or a coffee table which you bought from Amazon or IKEA or wherever, and you want to install it. Well, and there also there's a part missing. So how do you get that part from the manufacturer easily? So those are some of the issues which which are common in the DIY scenarios or B2B scenarios. There are other spare parts challenges like parts planning, parts logistics. How do you get? How do you have the right stocking levels at every warehouse? What's slow-moving parts? What is fast-moving parts? Low-value parts, high-value parts? How do you put those parts in the right place at the right time so the customer can get the service very quickly? And that's something which we'll address in a separate webinar. Even parts planning for obsolescence or new product launch, we'll cover that in a separate session. But the other thing which I would like to cover is about self-service. So, life would be much easier for customers if things are available to them at the tip of their fingers. So if they had a portal by which they could view the machines which are installed at their location, at various premises, or where they're exactly located, what are the details about the machines, etc. That's definitely very useful in B2B case. I think even B2C, you would want to see what is installed at your location as well. So with that information, customers or even technicians can order the part for that machine, because then the machine information is available to you right away. And they can also look at past orders which have been done for that machine, and they can basically quickly copy that order and create it again without having to do searching for that part. And then you also have scenarios where you want to schedule periodic parts. So consumable parts like filters, you want to replace it every quarter. How can the system automatically, or what is the process by which replenishment orders for these kind of consumable parts can be generated automatically without any customer intervention? Then, if you have the information about the machines, what is the warranty for the machines? When is the warranty ending? Which machine is covered by a contract? When is the contract up for renewal? And what is covered in the contract? All that stuff, if it is available to the customer, would be of great help. And similarly, what is the service history of the machine? So you may have the machine for the last 10 years or 15 years, and you should be able to quickly look at what are the failures which have occurred, as well as what parts have been replaced and what services have been performed on that machine, just by a click of a button. And also, finally, I would say, if we have the machine information, you can have, if your machine is IoT enabled, they can automatically create a service case. That's something we do as well, and we do provide an IoT integrated solution with SAP and Microsoft. Or you can manually go to the portal and create a case or a service ticket, which can then be processed for fixing. So these are some of the things which would make the life of a customer easier, as well as reduce the cost for the manufacturer and get happy customers. So Sana Commerce addresses many of these challenges, if not all of them. And it is integrated with SAP and Microsoft backend ERP systems, or SAP CRM as well. And I would now hand it over to Mike, who can help explain or give you a demo as well for some of the scenarios which I described. Mike.
Thanks, Ashish. Yeah, great background as far as the challenges that companies face, in the spare parts industry. We see this across lots of different types of verticals, right? Automotive, heavy machinery, and it spans, as Ashish mentioned, across B2C all the way from B2B. I think the one thing that's clear as we take a look at where e-commerce has been and where it's going, is that B2B is really starting to catch up to that B2C experience, right? We as consumers have this expectation that we can go on Amazon or go on a website and be able to easily order product, be able to see the availability, have an understanding of when it's going to be arriving at our doorstep. Whether you're a manufacturer, a wholesaler, a distributor, or a retailer, this is the same expectation that your B2B customers now have of you as well, especially, as we look at the disruption of COVID and the pandemic over the course of the last year. And we've seen, a number of years worth of digital transformation take place, in a very short period of time, accelerating the need to move to online. So at the end of the day, if I were to summarize everything that Ashish mentioned, it's about customer experience and it's about efficiency. We see a lot of organizations. I have a customer as an example, a structural engineering company that creates workbenches and workplace solutions for large organizations like Google, Lockheed Martin, Tesla. Tesla left them and started actually buying from one of their distributors who was charging 2 times the amount that the manufacturer was, because it was a better customer experience. And then this organization ended up implementing a Sana web store, and they were able to get Tesla back. And now they're a huge advocate of e-commerce, and it allows them to sleep at night and upsell, cross-sell across different Tesla locations for prototypes that have been built for one of the locations, as an example, in Cupertino. So needless to say, I think what makes Sana the right solution, now that we've understood the challenges of service and spares parts and operations as they lay today, let's take a look into how Sana can help. The first thing that I want to point out is that there are a million different platforms out there, right, for e-commerce or for customer portals. The reality is, though, that 99.9% of them are not truly integrated solutions. They're interfaced solutions, right? So you go stand up your portal, you go stand up your e-commerce platform, and then you have to figure out how do we, tie how do we frame the roof, if you will, back to the foundation, right? And so Sana brings an interesting integrated approach that's very unique in the industry, in that we don't build the house, if you will, from the roof down. We build it from the foundation up. So we actually take all of the core data and all of the core logic. And for those of you companies out there that are in the B2B space, we know there's a lot of complex logic, right? You've got not every customer is treated the same. Not every customer pays the same. We've got discount tiers. We've got discount percentages. We've got blanket orders. We've got trade agreements. We've got service contracts, right? There's a lot of complex logic back in the ERP system, and the last thing that anybody wants to do is to have to go rebuild all of that complex logic out on the web. So as you can see here, we tap directly into the ERP system, grab all the core logic and all of the core data, and expose that and make that availability in real time out on the web. And AJ, if you could move to the next slide, we'll take a little bit of a deeper look at an example of where some of the touch points are within the Sana integration into SAP, ECC, and S4HANA. So as you can see here on the screen, there's a deep integration into the financial accounting aspects of it, right? So that when an order is placed online, it hits the ERP system in real time, creates the quote, creates the order, and can be financially accounted for, and then of course moved on to pick, pack, and ship. We also have a deep integration into the sales and distribution module. So being able to see everything from the moment an order is placed until it's delivered, with information such as sales orders, pricing, packing, shipping, etc. And then on the material management side, right, we're grabbing all of the items or the materials from the material master that are required, processed, and produced in enterprises, and different types of procurement processes are managed within the system back on the ERP side. But some of the popular subcomponents in SAP MM module are things like vendor master, item master, consumption-based planning, purchasing, inventory management, invoice verification, and so on. As we try to hone in and focus a little bit more on the topic of today, I want to highlight the service manager module, right? Where, back to Ashish's use cases earlier, we can log into a system, we can request service, right? We can view the existing service contract, we can see the function location, as well as the the install base, and from a self-service standpoint, be able to take a look at the equipment that I own and easily find spare parts for it, schedule service for it, and or be able to look at warranty contracts as an example for the types of machines that are owned as well. So robust integration into a number of various modules into SAP S4HANA. One of the key things that I want to point out is that this is a real-time integration, and Sana literally is going to get installed into SAP and or Microsoft, and really the portal itself is going to act as a window into that ERP for your customers. In our mission to align with SAP's latest technology, we recently built support for S4HANA and enhanced our integration into it. So this includes separating domain and data layers, simplifying the data structure. Both enhancements make Sana a lot more flexible, especially when it comes to our partners like Accrete, who like to build on top of our connector, specific IP for specific business scenarios. New to S4HANA is also the SAP Fiori capability, which is much improved in comparison to the old SAP GUI. And Sana has built a bunch of apps which can be used to navigate and configure that Sana functionality. Later this year, we will also be looking to enhance our analytical capabilities with SAP, although for now, our customers can very much make use of what we call Sana Commerce Insights, from an analytics and dashboarding capability, being able to see information like abandoned cart, what's been researched offline, researched online, however, purchased offline, so that we can increase user adoption and, get a deeper understanding of the behavior of our customers on the website and how to increase user adoption. And with that, we will go ahead and move over to the solution overview. AJ, if you could make me presenter, thank you. I will go ahead and share my screen. And now you should be seeing my demo store, or my demo portal, if you will. And obviously, this is branded for Outdoora. It's a made-up company. Outdoora is we'll call them a manufacturer or wholesaler of plants, bikes, gardening, living furniture, as you see some of the different product categories here. I'm going to bounce back and forth a little bit between the front-end customer-facing web store and the Sana admin panel. But again, we're going to have a heavy focus on spare parts and service. So for starters, to familiarize you with the site, as I scroll down, you can see that I've got some product categories that start to splash across the screen. Now, you may be thinking this is a little bit more B2C focused, right? Because B2C customers are going to have a tendency to come out to the site, hunt and peck, right? They're going to hit the search bar at the top. They're going to hit the different categories down here at the bottom. There's a little bit of work that they're going to have to do, especially if they're new to the site, new to the product for the first time. B2B customers are going to buy quite a bit differently, and we'll focus a lot of the conversation around that today. But as I scroll down a little bit further, you can see I've got some other what we call flexi tiles that lead me to different informational or content pages. If you sell through distributors or you have brick and mortar stores, right? Maybe we want to have something like a store locator or a distributor locator. This can also very much act as a dealer portal as well. And then of course, at the bottom down into sitemap and newsletter subscription. Now, I'm looking at the site publicly here, but I'm going to go ahead and first we're going to click on, we'll look at a particular product category and we'll just pull up these lawnmowers as an example. Now, as I'm looking at the site publicly, the first thing that you'll notice is that I'm looking at commercial list price, and I'm also looking at US dollars, and I can see that there is availability of the product, but I can't see exact availability. So I want to point out that you can have the site behave quite a bit differently depending on whether somebody's logged in, whether they're looking at it publicly, or who they're logged in as. So hyper-personalization is one of the most important things that we can keep in mind as we launch online sales experiences, and I'll explain why, because there's a couple of different reasons. So first off, if I own a particular product, right, as Ashish mentioned earlier, I want to be able to go to the My Account section after I've logged in, and I want to be able to take a look at the products that I own and be able to very easily find the spare parts, create a service ticket, right, look at the warranty of the product. So I need to have that information here at my fingertips. Now, hyper-personalization is not just about hyper-personalization, it's about creating efficiencies. I also don't want my customers to have to come out to the site and have to hunt and peck through 20,000 different SKUs if they only own one product, or if they only buy from a particular amount of my catalog, right? So you will notice that as I start logging in as different users, I start to bring out some of these very customer specific and hyper-personalized scenarios. So as an example, now that I've logged in as Frank, you can see that I'm not showing commercial list price. We're actually showing the real-time pricing that is in the logic, for discounts that are set up back over in SAP or Microsoft. So I'm seeing customer specific pricing. The system's smart enough to know that I buy in euro. And now that I'm logged in, I can actually see exact availability, right? Now back to Ashish's point earlier, maybe you have multiple warehouses, in which case we can break out the inventory by warehouse. With COVID, we're seeing a lot more of buy online, pick up in store, or pick up at the manufacturing facility. So, there's quite a bit of flexibility here to be able to display real-time levels of availability directly from the ERP system across multiple different warehouses, or even show possibly what's in transit. Now, as I log out as Frank and I log in as Stefan, we're going to see some pretty major changes to the site as well. And when I log in as Stefan, you will notice that it's flipped back over to US dollars. Stefan doesn't have any discounts that are set up back in the ERP, but more importantly, a bunch of the different headers went away. So I used to have plants, living furniture, outdoor gardening, right? Where now I just have bikes. When I come back out to the main site, I've got a completely different full page image banner. I used to have a family that was gathered around outdoor living furniture. Well, now that I'm logged into Stefan, I've got this gentleman on a bicycle. And as I scroll down, I don't have 20 categories to search across, I have 2, right? So we're driving very hyper-personalized experiences for those customers so that they can very easily order from the parts of the catalog that we know they're interested in ordering from, as well as be able to dive in from that My Account section and be able to see the equipment that they own and very easily find the parts that they're looking for. Now, when it comes to spare parts, there's a couple of things that we know are very common in the spare parts industry, right? And one of them that serves a challenge to a lot of customers is that spare part numbers change. So if I am looking for a product where a spare part number has changed, it's very important that we be able to cross-reference behind the scenes the old part number to the new part number, so that when a customer comes into the site and they try to search a part number, right, that they actually find the individual part that they're looking for, regardless of whether it's the old number or the new. So certainly something to keep in mind, and I have to say that's one of the biggest reasons that we see failed implementations. If I can't find the part that I'm looking for, I'm going to go to another site and I'm going to go find it there where it's easier to use. So the other thing that we want to keep in mind when standing up a web store where spare parts, are a big driving force behind it. And back to Ashish's use case earlier, if I'm a technician or if I'm a customer, whether I'm a B2B customer or I'm a B2C customer that bought a Roomba, right? I want to be able to, I don't want to have to deal with diving into a paper manual or a paper specification document or CAD drawing that I have with me on site at the customer while I'm opening up the machine. They have a tendency to require a magnifying glass in order to see the SKU numbers. I want to be able to have a nice visual representation of what it is that I'm looking at, what it is that I own, so that I can easily identify the spare part number. So I'm going to take you out to one of my customers' sites. They are named Duotone. And as you can see here, Duotone specializes in kite boards, foil wings, for outdoor oceanic adventure. And from here, I can very quickly click on kite spares, which will show me all of the different products that are available. Or again, we could hyper-personalize it just to show the product that the customer owns. Customer comes out to the site, they find the product that they own, they click view spare parts, and we have this notion of what we call a spare parts exploder, right? So I don't need to know the SKU. I don't need to pick up the phone and call a customer service representative and say, hey, my kite board's broken. I don't know the exact part, but I can tell you what it looks like, or I could take a picture with it, my mobile device, and send it to you, right? I, as the customer, whether, again, this is a kite board or a lawnmower or, a baking machine, that's sold to restaurants that needs to be serviced, for, cooking pizzas. I can very quickly come out to the site and visually identify the part that I know that's broken or needs to be replaced or that needs to be replenished, as far as the trunk stock that Ashish was talking about earlier. And I click on it and it takes me right to it in the shopping cart, and then I can add it to the cart or buy. Now, I'm not logged into their site here, so I don't have the ability to do that because this is a closed portal, but hopefully you get the idea. And if I come over back here into my demo environment, right, if I'm selling lawnmowers, maybe I want to have a CAD. Maybe I want to have a spare parts exploder that actually kind of breaks apart the product, you know, and the equipment, so that I've got the spare parts exploder and I can very quickly identify the spare part where it takes me to the item in a list view there. One of the things that we're starting to see is the notion of 3D modeling, where we actually have movie-like images. And this is also becoming a bit more common for more complex use cases where I actually have a BOM within a BOM, right? So as an example, if you know, this engine on this lawnmower was its own bill of materials, but then when I click on it, right, it opens up an existing mini bill of materials within that bill of materials. We're starting to see quite a lot with 3D modeling and 3D imagery and artificial images. So you know, something to keep in mind that we could certainly incorporate into your customer's experience as well. Now, it's all good and great to be able to have a spare parts exploder, but a lot of you probably are also thinking that this requires a lot of customization and a lot of work. I want to show you how easy it is to create a spare parts exploder using a technology like Sana. So if I wanted to create a spare parts exploder, and I'm going to use an image from a prospect that I was working with just a couple of weeks ago. They are a manufacturer of baking equipment. We're talking about very large, heavy equipment that goes into restaurants, you know, and places that are baking either pizza or other types of baking solutions. And if I come into the Sana admin panel and I go to web pages, I can either go to product pages, or I could create a new content page from scratch as an example, and create this spare parts exploder from here. So I'm going to call this a dough chunker. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to start to build out that spare parts exploder. So I'm just going to grab a content element that we've created called Lookbook, as Ashish referred to earlier. And Lookbook can work in a couple of different ways. So we could create a Lookbook experience as an example where if I'm selling outdoor furniture, we can have hotspot icons that actually pop up in a what we call a pop-up view. Sorry for lack of having a hard time finding my words there. So we can have it show up in a pop-up view. So as you can see here, you know, if we were selling these cushions and this little outdoor coffee table and this dining table, as well as these chairs, right, we could actually, you know, kind of have this arrangement of furniture where then when I click on an item, it pops up more information about it so that I can also learn about it and add it to the cart. Alternatively, for spare parts companies that want to have it more like a list view, like we saw here with an exploder view, whether we're looking at either the kiteboard or the lawnmower motor, I'm going to go ahead and create it in that regard. So from here, I'm going to replace the image that I have with the actual dough chunker and that piece of equipment from that bakery manufacturer. So I'm just going to scroll down and grab the image that I want to use. And again, this could be a simple PNG file, JPEG, CAD, or even 3D modeling image. I'm just going to go ahead and grab this JPEG. And now I'm going to start to build out the spare parts that I want to explode, right? And those hotspot icons. So first I have a flange, right? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab the product from the bill of materials or the product set for that particular flange. And then I've also got this electrical component here where the machine is actually operated from. That's a spare part. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab that particular part from the bill of materials. And then of course I've got these wheels similar to the Roomba experience, you know, that Ashish was talking about earlier. I create a hotspot for that. And then I go ahead and I save my changes, right? There are some other more advanced, you know, sets of variables that I can give this particular lookbook or that spare parts exploder. But once I built that out, now I've got that experience, you know, again, whether it's, you know, looking like the kiteboard here or the lawnmower that we're looking at here in my demo environment. So this gives your customers and or your technicians that are out in the field the ability, when they're on site, opening up the machine to be very easily able to open up the spare parts exploder from their mobile device, their tablet, or their laptop, and be able to identify the item that they're looking for, add it into the cart, and then order it and be able to, have that visibility and transparency into where the item is from a shipping standpoint, and getting it out to them as quick as possible. Now, a couple of other things that your customers, might want to be able to do, especially over on the B2B side, you'll notice that I have the ability to save a cart as a template, and I also have a quick product lookup. So if I know the SKU number, I could just go ahead and I could start typing in the partial SKU, and I can easily find the product from there, adjust the quantity, possibly the units of measure, depending on how it's being sold or purchased, and add that to the cart. Once I've put the 5, 10, 15 different items into my cart that I may need to replenish from a trunk stock standpoint, I could go ahead and I could save that as a template. So we could call this, my monthly trunk stock order. And I may end up having 5, 10, 15 different templates that I build over a period of time. Well, next time I come back to the site, all I need to do is load the template, and I can identify whether it's the right one that I want to use or not by the contents of that template, add it to the cart, and it will update it in the cart with customer specific pricing, real-time pricing, and it gives them a nice starting point so that they can just delete an item, add an item, uptick quantities, downtick quantities as necessary. The other thing that we see a lot of companies do, if you've got a very large order that needs to be placed for your trunk stock, or for your warehouse, that requires a lot of different line items, we also see a lot of companies that are starting to do what we call upload bulk order or shopping cart upload capabilities. So as an example, I could come in here and I could build a shopping cart upload page. And I would just basically create a flat file, a spreadsheet, or a CSV that has a handful of columns. So if I've got customers that are buying 50, 70, 80 different line items, I go ahead and I upload that spreadsheet to here that's going to have a SKU number column, and a quantity column, maybe a unit of measure column, or a warehouse ID column. And then the customer then comes out to the site, they click on the upload bulk order page, they can download that sample CSV, they can fill out the quantity or the 2 or 3 columns that are necessary for the items that they want to order, and they just drag and drop it to right here. It builds the cart out for them again with their customer specific pricing, and it does it right there in real time. So again, things to be thinking about as you start to think about standing up an online sales presence. It's all about efficiency, right? How do I give my customers, again, whether it's the individual customer, the technician, or the salesperson that maybe is ordering on behalf of the customer, the ability to get in and out of the web store or the catalog very quickly, so that they can move on and do their job and rest assured knowing that the product is being shipped and going to be on the way, again, with those Amazon-like expectations that everybody has these days. Now, from the My Account section, once I've placed an order, I have the ability to be able to look up my order history, my quote history, if I'm doing quotes, my invoice history. I can actually come in here and view the details of an invoice and actually get to the copy of the invoice itself directly from the ERP system without ever having to pick up the phone and call somebody back office at the company. You'll notice I also have the ability to come in here and reorder, right? So if I do have that stock replenishment for my trunk, I can come in here and I can also just reorder it very quickly, and I can even pay invoices online, right? Or they can be set up to be invoiced back office with 30-day net terms. So a lot of flexibility that we can offer the customers from a shipping standpoint, from a payment standpoint. At the end of the day, it's all about self-service. We want to give the customer the ability to do this stuff on their own, do it from the device, right? Anywhere that they are. And I think you'll also find by giving your customers the ability to self-service like this, you're going to be creating a lot of back office efficiencies, right? As an example, if I am a customer like Ashish talked about earlier, and I've opened up a machine and I've got a spare part and I install it and it's dead on arrival, right? It's not working, it's not the right part, it's broken. I want the ability to be able to very quickly create a return or an RMA. And so from here, I can come in and I can look up my previous invoices. I can create a return order from there. I can select the item at the line item level that I want to return, the quantity of that line item that I want to return. I can leave some comments, and then I also have the ability to drag and drop a picture of the broken device, right? All of the information that I know that the manufacturer is going to need in order to approve the return, I can very easily add in here and complete my return request. And obviously, if your customers have the ability to do this, right, this is going to create a lot of back office efficiencies. People aren't going to have to be picking up the phone, pulling up invoices, digging into filing cabinets, emailing them out, creating the returns manually in the ERP system. So this will allow your organization to scale internally without having to necessarily throw more bodies at the problems as you all continue to grow. And then of course I have the ability to take a look at my shipments. I can view the details of those shipments, and then if we've got a tracking URL that's provided either via a direct API integration to a shipping provider, or a URL that's being housed back in the order in the ERP system, that'll be exposed out here to the customer too, so they can click on it and they can actually see where in the process, in the shipping process, their order is. So quite a bit of a functionality here and self-service capabilities that we can offer those customers. So hopefully this has been beneficial as far as being able to show you how we can solve some of the challenges that are common in the service industry. But at the end of the day, it's all about being able to create that great user experience and that efficient user experience, and help your customers be able to very easily order from you, pay for that particular order, and get it shipped out as soon as possible. With that, AJ, if we could flip back over to the slides, I do want to hit on some future trends and some things that we're starting to see as commonplace when we talk about e-commerce, and what we're seeing organizations in heavy equipment manufacturing and spare parts doing these days. So future trends to prepare for. Like many 2018, 2019, and 2020 predictions, most of the 2021 B2B e-commerce trends are about enhancing experience and convenience, like we've been talking about. But the same topics are starting to reemerge as technology gets smarter and enables previous trends to evolve even further into 2021. Headless commerce is the first of those. Headless commerce is API-driven e-commerce, right? That allows companies to innovate faster and to continuously evolve to meet ever-changing customer expectations. So that way you've got different ways of, ordering from Alexa, as an example, ordering from your Xbox, ordering from, your mobile device, right? Being able to, order from different types of places, again, regardless of where you are, and to be able to do it efficiently. We know that API-driven B2B e-commerce is the future. It's starting to catch up with B2C commerce, and that's why we've taken the steps at Sana to accommodate this with our architecture and our solution. So Sana was built with an API-first approach, and the early adopters are already using API headless-driven e-commerce. Secondly, voice commerce, right? This is becoming huge. There's a massive opportunity for voice technology. Many companies have already started to take advantage of it to improve their online experience. The main benefits are convenience, 24/7 availability, speed of purchase, and personalized buying experience. And at the end of the day, it's memorable, right? And what is easy to use and is what's memorable and makes you stand out from your competitors is what is going to keep your customers coming back to you again and again. The other day I ordered pizza. I've been ordering for Papa John's for like 5 years, and I just got a coupon in the mail from Domino's. It was 50% off, so I decided to give it a shot. When I checked out, they asked me if I wanted to tie my order into my Alexa device. And all of a sudden, I got notified by Alexa when the pizza was put in the oven, when it went out the door, and when it was 4 minutes from my house, right? Awesome experience. And I don't love the pizza, so I don't know that I'll buy from it again. But, you know, if they ever get their pizza a little bit better, you know, then I'm all over it, because it's you know, it's quite a bit different than the experience I have with Papa John's, which just shows me an estimate of 35 to 47 minutes. Progressive web apps is becoming huge, right? 2020 was the year of the progressive web app, and we're starting to see it quite a bit more. Unlike mobile applications, which are built specifically for either Android or iOS, PWAs are delivered through the web. They're designed to work across all mobile devices and operating systems. They are much more efficient. They use less mobile device data. They offer better performance, and they're available offline. So if your technicians or your customers are out in the field, you know, or you know, as an example, we work a lot with organizations up in Canada that do construction in very remote parts of Canada where they don't have any cell phone service, right? We still need people to be able to order, you know, where they don't have service or where they are not tapped into Wi-Fi or Ethernet. So progressive web apps is becoming very important. It does have offline capabilities. We saw a huge surge in that in B2C in 2020, and we're starting to see that B2B market catch up with progressive web apps as well. That being said, I want to thank everybody for, you know, Accrete. Thank you very much for having me today. Hopefully this has been an eye-opening experience for organizations, whether you're selling B2C or B2B in whatever type of industry you're in. That being said, AJ, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn it back over to you, and we'll see if we had any questions coming in along the way as well.
Sure. Thank you, Mike and Ashish. We are now going to begin answering the questions. So we have a couple of questions. So first one is, what is typical implementation timeline for Sana?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd say one size certainly doesn't fit all, and so I'll answer that in two ways. You know, I'll give kind of a best, average, and worst, not worst, but you know, more complex scenario. Our fastest implementation is 19 days. Now, that's not common. That also wasn't comfortable for anybody involved. There was a lot of work that went into that. I would say the average implementation for Sana is probably between about 4 to 6 months. And then, you know, it can certainly go longer than that. We do have customers that go 9, 12, 15 months. A lot of it's going to depend on whether we can deploy Sana out of the box, or whether there are heavy customizations, you know, that need to be there to accommodate very, you know, unique business processes with our customers. But hopefully that at least gives you a pretty good idea. I would say on average, we're talking about a 4 to 6 month implementation.
Sure. Thank you, Mike. There is another question. Have you guys implemented spare parts exploder at any customer? And what benefits did the customer get? Yeah.
Yeah, good question. And that question probably came in early in the presentation before I showed Duotone as an example in these kite boards. So we have built spare parts exploders. This used to be something that was custom. So Duotone, actually, this was a custom project that we did for them. But because it's becoming so prevalent, that's why we actually productized it into that lookbook functionality, like I showed you earlier with that dough chunker. We probably have now about 20 customers on our old platform that we customized this for, but now in the new platform that I showed you all today with the out-of-the-box capabilities, we're starting to see customers build this themselves, and they're getting an immense amount of value out of it. You know, again, it's you know, it's all about retaining customers and being able to provide that very easy experience to be able to find what spare parts they're looking for. So I would say the benefits are, you know, that customer retention, that customer upsell, and continuing to come back and order more. And as we talked earlier about, you know, trying to create back office efficiencies, when a customer has the ability to do that, they don't have to rely on customer service. They don't have to rely on calling sales. And so that's going to free up your team internally to go tackle more accounts, you know, and to be able to drive higher revenue generating activities rather than picking up the phone and answering questions all day long or hand keying orders into the ERP.
Sure. So we have one more question. Does Sana provide an interface that allows an internal employee like sales, customer service to create a quote or purchase on behalf of a customer?
Yeah, that's a great question, and if I'm not sharing my screen anymore, so I'll just answer it here, and we can spend more time if somebody's really has an interest in seeing this. Let me know and let Ashish or AJ know, and we can set up a demo. But essentially, your internal salespeople will be able to log into the solution as well, or customer service agents. And then they have the ability to do a couple of things. One, they can see all their customers' history, right? All of the transactional data, all of the invoice history, the spare parts information, the functional, you know, location, install base, and you know, they can, you know, pull back that information without necessarily having to have a license in SAP or Microsoft. They also have the ability to create a prospect order. So if they're out in the field and they're meeting with a prospect, and that's not set up as a customer back in the ERP yet, they can still do business with them right there on the fly. And then to answer the question directly, yes, they also have the ability to represent a customer, which would then give them all of the customer's details, order history, transaction, you know, history, and any documentation that we want to serve up to them. But they also would have the ability to create a quote or create an order right there on behalf of the customer, or even maybe create a template, you know, for the customer to buy from in the future as a value add. So that way, when you roll out the web store, you've already got those templates there created for your customers in advance.
Thanks, Mike. With this, we are at the end of today's session. Thank you, Ashish and Mike, and thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. You will receive a follow-up email with the link to view our recording of today's webinar. And on behalf of Accrete, Sana Commerce, and our presenters, thank you everyone for joining us today, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.